Hello everybody and welcome back to the second episode of Let's Play Starmourn. So last episode we went through the newbie introduction and today we're going to finish up sort of the newbie content. We're going to head to Omni Station where we'll talk to Araxi, we'll visit our battlemaster, get our skills, talk a little bit about lessons and learning, and then we'll head to our first hunting ground and start some basic hunting. Without further ado, let's get started. Okay, here we are. So, as advertised in the introduction, we were going to play Enora, but here we are, in fact, on a different character, Fenil, who is a Krona scoundrel. As it turns out, I recorded this whole video with Enora running through everything that we're going to run through. But the whole time I apparently was not recording, so I made a new character, and we're going to do this again, call the old one a dry run, and without further ado, let's get started. So if we remember, last time Kotha told us that we need to get to Omni Station, and if we want a reminder of that, we can see indeed there is this quest here if we hit quest, and yes, Omni Station is the best place in the galaxy to discover your calling. To get there, find a transfer room in your faction's space station and check the station transfer list to board a craft. So this new character, Fenil, is not part of the best faction, Celestine Ascendancy, but rather is part of Song, which is an okay faction. And that means we're in Danica Transit Station. And we're trying to get... oh, and Zuthori welcomes us. And it says, okay, he's asking... Zuthori... they are asking us to read some files that can help introduce our new character to life in song. But alas, we're going to ignore this advice for now. But I would advise you to indeed read these documents. So we want to get to Omni Station. And indeed, if we get to the central hub of Danica's transport station, we find ourselves with a transport craft that we can board. And indeed, one of these places is Omni Station. Isabella is here, and funnily enough, Isabella was here when I was going through this introduction last time with Enora, so we'll wave at Isabella. Say hello. But we'll call it. We'll see if we can close off the interaction. But I mean, maybe Isabella will want to follow us, which is fine. So yeah, we're just going to head to Omni Station using these transport crafts. And quest updates and says find a suitable battlemaster. And if we look again at this quest, a bit of lag, and we click Omni Station. It says maybe the lady in charge, Araxi Lamentation, is a good place to start. Her lounge can be found at the top of the station, accessed by taking a lift. Type enter lift to use the lift system. Okay, so top of the station. So there's an exit to the up, so that sounds pretty promising. And indeed, here there is a lift. So we'll enter the lift. Now that you're in the lift, you can type key lift to your left to the floor you would like to travel to. Okay, great. It seems we're on level 1 already, so let's head to level 2. And we arrive. And we can exit the lift. You're in the presence of Araxi Lamentation Spacer. Best be polite, says Boris. Greet Araxi. Yes. Hi, I'm looking for a battlemaster. Do they stay on the station? Battlemasters on Omni Station? I wish. No, they'd never put up with me, and I'd never put up with them. Experts in their field tend to be solitary sorts. I know where they are, though. We have an agreement. What agreement? I guard access to battlemasters. Keep them from being swamped by well-meaning fans or law enforcement agencies or, well, all that. In return, they watch my back. It's an understanding of mutual respect. Speaking of respect, you looking for one? Yes, tell me where they are. All right. About that, if I'm right about that opportunistic light in your eyes, friend, it means that you're looking for Caliber Moreau. But you won't find her transport in any docking bay. I'd recommend you talk to the pawnbroker of the Quick Mark down shaft, which is north of the central hub. Celsius will point you to the right direction. Okay, great, thank you. So that means we want to head back down to the central hub. So we'll enter that lift again. Key the lift, and we want to go to the first floor. And we go ahead. And back down to the central hub. And Araxi told us that we wanted to head north. And the dig here is Celtis. Greet Celtis. Celtis. No. Celtis. Welcome to Quickmire Pawn. How can I help you today? I'm looking for a battlemaster. Are you now? Yeah, I am. Got a problem with that? I like your spark, pal. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, make it happen. Okay, so we're being shipped away in a crate. So on the previous video, we were a beast. The previous video, which had Onora, but this new character is a scoundrel. So we're going to be doing the scoundrel battlemaster. Okay, so now he says greet the battlemaster Caliber Moreau. So here we are in Bayonet's Run, which is the area which has the battlemaster. And we're going to look for Caliber. Ah, could that woman drinking at the bar be Caliber Moreau, the legendary scoundrel you've heard so many rumors? Type greet Caliber. Wow, your breath reeks, lady. Well, your breath smells like grass, pal. Green grass. Okay. If you agree to do a quick errand for me, blah, blah, blah. Nothing terribly illegal. Some hiccups in there. So Caliber is a real class act, but nevertheless is apparently a legendary scoundrel who can teach us all sorts of things. Was arranging to have a case of some equipment delivered to me, but my contact hasn't shown up yet, and I'm worried he's gonna hold out on me. Problem is, I'm too drunk to see straight. You'd probably you'd better go wade out into the streets and find him, shake him down. It doesn't sound too difficult. About yay big hat, big coat, seedy look, bird seedy. Okay, he's bird seedy. Find Caliber's contact. Aha! A seedy Nusri's smuggler drifts farther back into the crowds. Why don't we greet that? You have something of Caliber's. Give me the case, or I'll snap your beak off and feed it to you. Great. Now we'll deliver the case to Caliber. Oops, we went too far. Give case to Caliber. Okay, open the kit. You find it contains a full kit of gear that you can use in your adventures. Score. Great, so this is another great reason to always come to your Battlemaster, is that they will give you a full set of new equipment, which will get you started. And we'll talk more about equipment in a future video, but suffice it to say that indeed you want good equipment as you proceed through the levels. Now that I've scratched your back, you can scratch mine. Okay, you talked me into it. I'll tell you what I know. First, let's do something real basic. Baby steps. So Caliber asks us to learn a couple skills here, exploration and skirmishing. So that's what we'll do. Learn 5 exploration from Caliber. And while we're learning these things, we'll talk a little bit about lessons. So if we type AB, we'll see that there are basically 2 or rather 3 classes of skills. First of all is our class skills, and these are basically the things we get from being our class. So in this case, Scoundrel. These skill trees are different depending on our class. Meanwhile, everybody has access to these 4 skills: skirmishing, exploration, captaincy, and hacking. Skirmishing and exploration both sort of contain general useful abilities that apply. We can look a little bit more at skirmishing by typing AB skirmishing. So it's things like taking cover, fleeing from combat, lighting things on fire, drawing our weapon quickly, etc., etc. Swimming, okay, dashing, huddling, and various things related to that. And so with exploration, just general skills that everybody is capable of doing regardless of their class. And if we scroll up here, there's captaincy and hacking, and these are a little bit different. Instead of learning these things, these are skills that you learn by doing. So gain captaincy XP and gain hacking XP, and you will eventually fill up these skill trees. There's also trade skills, which we'll talk about in the future, but things like armor modding or weapon modding, as well as the different design skills, all fall in trade skills. But okay, let's learn, what was it? Skirmishing? What did we learn last time? I forgot. Yeah, we learned exploration, so let's learn skirmishing. And while that's finishing, we'll just look a little bit more here at our skills. So these are the 3 class skills for Scoundrel. In order, like I did with skirmishing, we can probe further into these skills by typing AB gunslinging. And here we see all of the different skills in gunslinging, as well as the lesson requirements to learn that skill. And if we either click here, or if we type AB gunslinging and the name of the skill, AB crackshot, we'll get full information about this particular ability, how it's used, as well as various stats, valid targets, things like that, and a general description of how the ability works. Now we're done learning exploration and skirmishing, so let's do Caliber again. I did it, thanks for the lessons. Okay, now we're going to learn our class skills. So I want to know about gunslinging. And Caliber advises us to learn 15 lessons in gunslinging. And basically, when you're starting out, just follow the recommendations of your battlemaster and you won't go wrong. And it advises us that we should nod to Caliber when you think you've learned enough. Okay, great. So what exactly are these lessons and how do we get them? Well, if we type score or SC, we'll see here that we have 155 lessons in total. What is that? Oh, how do we get these lessons? So just by leveling up our character, we'll gain lessons. There's another activity called xenozoology, which will give you a trickle of lessons, but we'll introduce that today as well. But a lot of lessons are going to come from credits, and there's a few ways to get credits. The main way would be through the daily credits system. And this is basically, there's all these different activities in the game, and each of them is going to reward you a different amount of credits. Some of these are repeatable, and every day normally you can get 20 credits. So each credit is worth 6 lessons. So that's what, 100 and, oh God, 6 times 2 is 120 lessons you can get per day, which is quite good. You'll be able to max your skills in no time with this. There's also the credit market, where you can buy credits for marks that other players are selling. And then you can also, if you want to skip the grind a little bit, you can also purchase credits for real money. After all, the devs do need to eat. So if you want to support the game, that's a great way of doing so. Now, go back in here. We also want to learn some guile, so we Caliber asks us to nod. I still have some questions about guile. Okay, so we want to learn 30 guile from Caliber. And in the class videos, we will be discussing more about all the different skills for all the different classes. But for now, we're going to just do the bare minimum here. So if we go into gunslinging, we can see, okay, you can fire off your piece. Pieces are basically blaster. And we can also reload our pistol. So that's those two things sound pretty useful. So starting out here, we're basically going to be shooting our foes and reloading when we need to. We're just about finished with our guile lesson. I would advise to read these messages. They sort of introduce you to the flavor of the character, but we're not going to do so now. So we've learned a few more abilities here, and we'll talk about that. But first, let's nod Caliber and say, oh, I still have some questions about improvisation, which is the final skill. Okay, let's learn 30 improvisation, and we'll get that started. So I want to talk briefly about this ability here, Stim. Heal yourself with Stims. Every class except for Engineer, which is a little bit of an exception, but we'll talk about that later, has what's called a class heal. And class heals are basically like drinking a health potion. You can do this every 8 seconds for Guile Stim, and it'll restore 20% of your maximum health. So these are obviously very important abilities to learn, and if you ever find yourself getting low on health, you can Guile Stim. And we'll see that a little bit later. Okay, we finished up improvisation. So let's see what we got. We got some bandoliers where we can store our IEDs, which are basically little bombs. We can construct these bombs, and we can even construct our first kind of bomb. Great, something that tears through the flesh of our victims. So sounds like we're going to want some of these too. We won't be using these today. We'll talk about these more in the Scoundrel video. But let's nod to Caliber again. And I'm well on my way to being one of the finest gunslingers in the galaxy, thanks to you. Great, we're all done here. How do I get back to civilization? And Caliber is way, way, way out of it now. Apparently she anyhow has been drinking during this whole experience. Okay, so basically go talk to this person over here. and he'll let you out. And indeed, here's the tricky-looking engineer, and yes, I would like passage back to Omni Station. So now, if we have a look at quests, it's the only one remaining is to level up, and this is what Kotha asked us to do. So Kotha has told you to grow in strength, to do so by whatever means necessary. And there are various ways to level up, and there are 2 links here, questing and bashing, which can help you a little bit more. But we are going to go straight to bashing, get level 5, and then close off the video from there. So where do we go? Well, we're back here in Omni Station, and we got this little message here. It says, take a transport and fly your ship back to the transit station. Or rather, take a transport or fly your ship back to Danica transit station. From there, consider heading to Mirror Lake and Song City. There are plenty of water skippers, eels, and lizards there that are eating the rice. You may also use the areas command for a list of areas appropriate to the level. Okay, areas. So because we are in Song Dominion, this message is advising us to go to Mirror Lake, which is the bashing area, or the newbie hunting area, I suppose, for the Song Dominion. But we're not going to go there. We're going to go to my favorite sort of newbie hunting area, which is the southern wilds of Usuti. And to get there, we need to head to the closest station, which is E02 Station. In the future, we'll talk more about where all these places are and how to navigate around the sector. But for now, let's just have a look at the station transfer list. And it turns out E02 is simply available. We can transfer to E02 from Omni. So let's head to E02. And now we're here. And okay, from here, it said up here the closest station is E02, and we want to head to Usum. So let's have a look from E02's transport hub. And indeed, we see the second option here is the main camp of Usum Usuti. So let's head there. This is my favorite newbie hunting area because there's just lots of mobs, and it's less crowded. But of all the newbie bashing areas, I would say just only go to the dregs of Litharge if you want to if you're a member of this of the Ascendancy and you want to check out, you know, what Litharge is all about, get some flavor. But it's rather treacherous. A lot of newbies are always dying in the dregs. But speaking of dying, here we are in Usum Usuti, and now the first mistake that you can make here is we want to head to the southern wild of Usum Usuti. So here we are at a bit of a crossroads, and where we want to head is down here to the southern wilds. But what happens a lot of the time, and why a lot of people don't recommend southern wilds for newbie bashing, is you can actually very easily wander up north. And this area up here is like an end game bashing area with some very scary beasties. And just to demonstrate this, let's head north. And Sable says, I wouldn't go north if I were you. The stuff up there is pretty tough. Well, you know what, Sable? I'm a Corona, and Coronas are super tough. So let's just ignore Sable. Oh shit! There's some overfed skulls here, and they instantly kill me, and that's fine, because death in this game is a little bit of a pain, but ultimately it does not matter at all. You feel a disorienting retch of sudden consciousness, and it feels like your mind is being torn apart and put back together again. So the lovely corporation Heat, HETE, will take care of our cloning needs, and dying pretty much is meaningless in the Starmourn sector. Of course, you do lose a little bit of experience. You lose some marks, which go to Heat, which is definitely the most profitable corporation in the sector. And you lose a little bit of pride, but that's about it. So basically, if you do die, don't worry about it. It's fine. Normally, then you could also go back to the room and get what's called an INR from your corpse to gain some of this experience back. But there's no way in heck that we're gonna go back to that room. Yeah, we're just gonna make our way now back to Omni and then back to Iota and back to Usum. And we'll call that a learning experience. At this point, I will skip ahead the video and meet you guys at Usum. Okay, so we made it back to the Usum arrival station, and this time we're going to make sure to not go north, follow Sable's advice, and instead we'll head south. We see a mouse and a bright yellow bird called a spiderax. These seem like pretty simple things to kill, but we can always make sure by probing them. Say probe the mouse, and it says that it's about as strong as you. That's good. Always probe something before you try to attack it. You should mostly be okay, but there are some mobs that will say this and they'll still clean you up pretty confidently. Alas, we already decided that we're going to crack shot the mouse. And uh-oh, we lack the bullets to be able to do that, so let's gun quick load. Let's spell it correctly. Must be wielding your piece to do that. Right, wield. Your gun is reloaded. So you see here, we'll talk more about bullets and stuff in the scoundrel video, but now we have 8 bullets, and we can confidently shoot the mouse. So basically, this is just like shooting our blaster in the newbie introduction. Every single time we regain balance, we want to crack shot again. You can type IH if you want to see the information up here. There's indeed a spiderax here, so let's kill it with crack shot the spiderax. Okay, spiderax is dead. Our gun is empty, so let's gun quick load. In the future, we'll be doing like a PvE video as well as in the class videos in order to get this set up so it's not so difficult, I guess. We'll be installing some quality of life packages and stuff into Nexus to help. Yeah, so here we're almost level 5, and if you remember our quest, it's to get to level 5. So let's do that. Crack shot the mouse. Aha, okay, we've gotten our first piece of equipment. And this is great, we got a toolkit. Toolkits are used to assemble IEDs, or bombs, and we'll talk more about that in the class video for Scoundrel. Crack shot, spiderax. And if if this doesn't get us to level 5, then let's dial spin just for fun. Just to show that that healing works. Okay, we need to kill one more. And indeed, there's still a spider X here. Let's gun quick load. And okay, we are now level 5. We get some lessons, as I mentioned. We also get some stat points. Stat points are used to invest in, if we take the stats, show. Each class has 2, aim and agility is what Scoundrel has, but other classes have different class stats. And then there's also the general stats, life force, evasion, and regen. We'll talk about stat setups in the class videos. But for now, we've reached level 5, and Kothis tells us, good news, we've tracked down Cassandra. When you're ready, head to Danica Transport Station, your faction's main space station. There's a withered oxygen garden there that's not in use. Head southwest from the central hub, and then south into the garden. Wait there, we'll find you. So you can feel free to, from here, to go to and do this. So this brings you through basically an epic arc. Every level milestone that you reach, there will be another epic mission, which you can go and do. Highly recommend that you do these missions. It introduces you a lot to all the lore, or good deal of the lore, as well as things like questing, and there's even some space flight and that kind of stuff. And it's they're really well written and fun. So I would and actually some are quite challenging. So I would recommend that you do these. But if you don't want to, you don't have to. You can just go about your normal life if you choose to. Now, if we take a look at quest ascent, it says great, we leveled up. And it says return to your faction space station. If you guys want me to do videos that cover the epic missions, I can totally do that, but I'm a little bit hesitant because there would be a lot of spoilers, and also just a lot of I would basically be solving a lot of the puzzles and things, so I'm not sure if that's something that's desired, but if that's something you guys want to see, leave a message in the comments. Other than that, we have this other quest, a quick mark. So as it turns out, when we've been killing these creatures, we've been getting various junk items. So if we type junk, we'll see that we have accumulated various sinews and spines and things like this, and this is all stuff that we can sell. Now this is the main method for making marks, which is the currency from hunting. So junk can be sold at designated locations, it says. So in order to find a junk shop, we need to find a quick mark pawn. We can either head back to where we went to see Caliber, but all stations are equipped with a shop. So let's head back up, and we'll take off to Iota. So after this video, I'm going to be looking at the classes and the races and the factions. Actually in the opposite order, after that we'll be setting up our client a little bit, talk about installing packages and the quality of life packages and things like that, as well as setting up our client to our liking, and also looking at this config menu, where there's a bunch of different options for tweaking the look and feel of things, and we'll just be going through that. But in the meantime, yes, wait, I think we can say landmarks here. No, we can't. But the junk shop is here. And here we can simply sell our junk. We got a whopping 44 marks. So we're well on our way to riches, but basically we're going to have to do a lot more hunting if we want a meaningful amount of marks. But this is how you make money by hunting, and it's important to know how to do this. So I think that's everything for today. Thank you very much for stopping in and enjoying this playthrough with our Krona scoundrel Fenil. RIP Anura. I'm not sure if we'll go back to Anura or maybe she'll be purged from the databases, never to be seen again. Or we might offer Fenil the same treatment. So if you'd rather see Fenil or Anura, let me know. Because one of them is probably going to bite the dust. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.